Imagine you want to share your favorite drawing with 25 of your friends and family, but there are no printers, phones, or computers. How would you do it? Would you believe a simple block of wood is the key to creating hundreds of copies? Today, we'll learn all about Japanese woodblock prints. We'll look at why they're important and a few key features. Then you'll get to make your own version. Make sure to grab your guided notes. Take a look at this very famous image. It's called The Great Wave by an artist named Hokusai. It was made almost 200 years ago. How do you think Hokusai made this picture? Did he paint it with a brush? Or maybe he drew it with ink? Actually, he didn't draw or paint anything on this piece of paper. This image is a print, which is something like a copy. A set of wood blocks was the key to making this print, and many more copies of it. Why do you think that was important? We'll find out. Let's dive a little deeper into the woodblock process. It actually took a team of artists to make one print. First, an artist like Hokusai would design a picture and paint that on a piece of paper. Then a different person, a carver, would carve a copy of that image onto a block of wood. The final carving looked like this. Next, someone else would put ink on the wooden block and press a piece of paper onto the block. The carved lines left a mark on the paper like a rubber stamp. Then the carving and printing process was repeated for each color needed. So if a picture had 8 colors, there would be 8 blocks of wood. It was a lot of work, but once all the steps were finished, it was easy to make lots of copies of the picture. Being able to make copies quickly and easily was more affordable than waiting for one artist to take weeks to paint one painting. Why do you think that was important? It meant that more people could afford to buy art. Because this was a peaceful time in Japan, people had extra money to spend on luxuries like art. This peaceful period, which lasted from about 1600 to the mid-1800s, is known as the Edo period. People bought these prints to decorate their homes, just like you can decorate your own castle in my world. It was a win-win for the arts. More art could be made and bought. Just like how we share pictures online today, people hundreds of years ago in Japan wanted to share art too. Now, what made these woodblock prints unique? Let's look at 3 characteristics. One characteristic is the subject. The subject is the main focus of a picture. It's what the artwork is about. Take a look. What's happening in this print? There are some trees, a waterfall, and people. Japanese woodblock artists often captured scenes of nature. Now, let's take a look at some other subjects. This is a scene showing travelers stopping at a station to buy things. And here is another scene. It shows 2 fishermen going about their day. What do these 2 subjects have in common? I notice there are people in both, as well as a background that shows their home, city, or nature around them. They all show everyday life in Japan. Now that we've examined common subjects, let's look at some common features of these prints. Take another look at this print. How would you describe the lines here? You might have noticed that these lines are bold and dark. These bold lines are almost like lines in a coloring book. Finally, let's talk about our last characteristic, colors. Japanese woodblocks usually had more than one color. How many colors can you find in this print? There are 7 colors in this print: black, blue, light blue, green, light green, yellow, and orange. A different block was carved for each color, and then each color was printed on top of the other in a process called color layering. So what did we learn about Japanese woodblock prints? People could afford to buy art because it was easy to make copies. They used this art to decorate their homes. Prints depicted scenes of everyday life and nature. They have bold lines and use color layering. Let's turn it over to our art teacher, Melissa.
I'm going to show you how to make your own print with bold lines and layered colors. We're going to use foam sheets instead of wood because they're much easier to carve. Here's what you'll need. 2 sheets of 2mm craft foam cut to 4.5 by 6 inches, 1 sheet of drawing paper cut to 4.5 by 6 inches, a sharp pencil, scissors, 2 colors of acrylic paint, a large flat brush or foam applicator, a paper plate for mixing paint, and a rolling pin. You'll find a list of these in your written lesson materials. Now pay close attention to all the steps I take. You'll create your own artwork after the demo. What should I draw? It could be a scene from my daily life, or it could be something from nature. I really like snow and mountains, so I'm going to draw a mountain with some clouds. I'll draw my picture on my planning sheet first. My scene should have at least 2 objects. Okay, now it's time to carve the foam. Watch as I draw my design directly onto the craft foam using a sharp pencil. I do need to press firmly to carve impressions into the foam. You can check to see how deep they are by running your finger over them. I can make the impressions deeper by drawing over the lines again. Now there's something important I need to keep in mind. The lines that I'm carving will show up as white when I make the print. That's because they won't pick up paint. I'll set the foam with my main object aside for now. Next, I'm going to draw a second object on the second piece of foam, again pressing firmly to make a good impression. These will be my clouds. Now I need to decide which colors to use for each object. I want to make the mountains blue and I want the clouds to be white. Because I have to print each color separately, I'll cut out the clouds from the foam. I'm cutting close to the outline I drew to make something like a stamp. I'll save them for later. Now it's time for the actual printing. The first color is blue for the mountains. So I'm pouring out about a 2-inch blob of blue paint onto my mixing plate. Now I'll apply the paint evenly to the mountain foam block using my brush or foam applicator. Next, I carefully line up a blank sheet of paper onto the plate and roll over it with a rolling pin. If you don't have a rolling pin, you can always use a soup can. Here's where the magic happens. I'm going to gently peel off the paper, and there's my print. Now I just need to wait for the blue paint to dry completely. Next, I'll print the clouds in white using the cutouts from earlier. I'll apply white paint to the cutouts, then press them directly onto the paper that I printed the mountain on. Then I carefully peel off the cloud cutouts. Now all I need to do is wait for the white paint to dry. And here's my 2-color print. Voila! Or as you would say in Japan, dekita.
Now it's your turn. Give it your best, or as they say in Japan, ganbatte. Time to get creative. Grab your planning sheet and a pencil. On your planning sheet, think about what you would like to draw and write that down or sketch it on your planning sheet. Because we're using 2 colors, you'll need to draw at least 2 objects. For step 2, choose 2 objects in your drawing and decide what colors you want each of them to be. Pause this video and take a few minutes to complete your planning sheet. Today, we explored the art of Japanese woodblock printing, known for its depictions of nature and everyday life, bold lines, and layered colors. We learned how these prints were affordable for regular people to enjoy. And finally, by creating your own print, you'll use techniques that have been used for over 1,000 years to make a print unique and special to you. Thanks for joining me today. Keep being curious, keep exploring art, and I'll see you next time.
Hey, hey.